Let me pitch you an idea, just in terms of like purpose comes from your pain. What if you became the interior designer for people who had kids who were a victim of abuse? Because the way that you got out of your issues will be the way that you can help other people get out too. And you have a talent that can help the kids who are suffering right now. Because it's how you got out of it yourself. That kind of environment, whether they're 3 or 15, you can help them make a room for themselves where they can escape and get back to normal life again.
I'm trying to figure out my next move.
Okay.
I have a lot of ideas, but regardless, the overall goal won't change. I want to end domestic violence and child abuse.
Okay.
And the way we have to do that is through prevention, because right now we focus so much of our time on putting band-aids on all these damaged people that we're churning out in society. And it's through, the way we're going to stop it is through prevention and education, and by protecting children so that they don't grow up to be abusers and victims themselves. And also protecting children will decrease the rates of mental illness in our society, the rates of incarceration, homelessness, suicide, intravenous drug use. Like, everything is affected by domestic violence and child abuse. 1 in 3 women in the US is a victim of domestic violence in their lifetime.
Wow, that's
One
in
in
their
3.
lifetime. Okay.
Yeah,
What's
1
the
in
men
3.
number?
I think it's 1 in 4.
Yeah.
So,
So this is your story.
yeah,
right?
This is my story. I'm
From,
a
like-
survivor of many things.
What was the worst? Like as a child?
I don't even know where to start. Child abuse, domestic violence, but, well, I guess I do know what the worst is, which is what has given me my life's work now, is that when I escaped my abuser, that's when he took me to court and tried to take custody of my child from me. And she was very small and couldn't articulate a lot, but as she got old, she had a lot of behavioral problems, tics, and then started saying that she wanted to kill herself and things like that. And that's when she started to open up and started talking about the second ex-wife who was being abused, and then after that the next girlfriend and the next girlfriend and their kids, and that he was grooming them all for sexual abuse, all the kids. And so he tried to take custody from me when I began to bring up the things she was saying, like, hey, why are you doing this? Will you stop? You know, it's causing damage to our child. And so he took me to court, tried to get full custody, and I thought, all I have to do is speak up and people will believe me and protect me. All I have to do is be honest. But my attorney said, if you bring up the domestic violence or child abuse, you will lose your child. And I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me. There's no way. And I have a strong faith in the goodness of people. And so I spoke up. I told the custody evaluator, you know, these people with PhDs that do this for a living. But in the end, they tried to give him custody despite all of this. And despite the fact that they didn't have anything negative about me. I was getting remarried at the time to my wonderful husband that I'm married to now. I was a stay-at-home mom. I have a bachelor's degree in interior design, and my children were just my life. And that's when I started reading books and talking to authors and going to conferences and things. And that's when I realized that it wasn't just me, and it wasn't just Utah where this is happening. All across the world, when protective mothers especially, but it also does happen to men, but when you come forward trying to get out of an abusive situation and trying to protect your child, the courts will give custody to the perpetrator, and you cannot protect them And legally, you are forced to send your child with someone who is emotionally abusing them, or they're witnessing domestic violence, or they're being sexually abused, and you have to send them, or you go to jail and your child loses their one advocate, you know? And then you look through the whole system, and the child CPS is screwed up because they have such high turnover, not enough funding, and they're not trained to recognize domestic violence and abuse that's not physical.
What happened with your daughter?
And the courts and everything, and I got lucky. I out-strategized him. The courts didn't help me at all. My paperwork still says he has visitation, but he has not seen or spoken to her in 3 years, despite all of his efforts, because of the strategy I used, and because I'm lucky enough, up where I live in Logan, we have an amazing shelter, and I got her into therapy and asked them to help her use her voice, to find the strength to use her voice. And she stood up to him and told him she didn't want to see him anymore because of how he was treating her. But it was a horrible choice for a child, she was like 11 at the time, to have to make, because she had other siblings there from the second ex-wife who she had been going for so long because she wanted to try to protect them. And, you know, I said at a certain point, you have to think about the damage that's being done to you, you know, and you can't stop what's happening to them.
So how do you want to attack this? There's so many ways to help the system.
I feel like I got lucky, and I know intimately what is wrong with the whole system, but it involves the court system, it involves the legislature, who won't pass good laws that protect children and victims because they're more concerned about parents' rights. And you can be a parent and sexually abuse your child, and you will still have custody. Unsupervised visitation worldwide. It's horrible. And so I started a local chapter of a national organization called the Stop Abuse Campaign.
Okay.
And we work to protect children by preventing trauma from happening in the first place, and also by making it easier for victims to leave domestically violent situations, and changing public policy and education. So I started with that, and I serve on several different committees up at the legislature, or at the Capitol, and committees throughout the state working to make change. But it's such a slow process, and I've been doing it for the last 3 years, almost full-time as a volunteer, and I drive from Logan all the time down to Salt Lake. And so I've kind of dug myself into this financial hole now, because I've been working for free and spending my own money on what I'm doing. And I thought, okay, I need to rearrange some things here so that it can work for me, because I moved out at 17, and I've struggled financially my entire life, and I'm just tired of it. I don't want to have to do that anymore. I feel like part of my personal why is that financial success will give me control over my own life. Mm-hmm. And it's that power and control that people have tried to have over me in my life, that in a sense I'm taking back. And then my why for my purpose in life is that every human being deserves the right to live a life free of abuse and the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Mm-hmm. And you can't do that when you have someone terrorizing you and torturing you.
Why did you pick interior design to get a master's in?
Well, my bachelor's is interior design.
Yeah.
And that was because ever since I was a kid, I was kind of a loner. I'm an introvert. I was a bookworm. And I love to build things. Reading was my escape, and being outside building things. Like, I would haul railroad ties and actually build, these structures with fireplaces.
To escape from the abuse.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a crier.
No, that's great. Thank you it's great. So, just as you're talking, I'm reminded of the story of the woman who started Mothers Against Drunk Driving. The woman who started MAD, her daughter was 13, was on her way to church for a festival, and was killed by a drunk driver. This guy swerved off the road, killed her. You know the story? So,
yeah, I followed them. They have some really good. They've had a lot of good success, so I've kind of followed.
So like he
what
knocked
they're
her out of
doing.
her shoes. Like she flew 125 feet in the air.
Yeah.
She passed away.
Wow.
The police eventually caught the guy, found out that he was drunk, and told her that he's probably just going to get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
Because drunk driving laws were not what they were, or they weren't what they are. and he had other drunk driving incidences as well. And 4 days after her daughter's funeral, she started Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Just in terms of like purpose comes from your pain.
Yeah.
Right? But what I love about it's super interesting that you went into interior design because the way that you got out of your issues will be the way that you can help other people get out too.
Well, I went into interior design before the custody and everything.
But the path out of the pain for you when you were young was to create a new world for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in the backyard and I'm going to create tiles. I'm going to read. Like you're imagining a different world than what currently, you don't like the world that exists. And so instead of living there, you create a fantasy world that you can be happy in.
Yeah.
And so it's no coincidence that you get into interior design.
Yeah.
But now being able to combine it in a way that makes you money.
Well, I loved that for a long time. But then I started this organization here, and I just have needed to learn how to get grants and funding. And I am I'm just going to go back to school for my master's in public health. And I wanted to start a bunch of different YouTube things in order to try to connect with kids that are going through that and have no one to, like, I was doing the research online about different topics people are looking for, and I saw that kids were looking up things like, why does my dad hit me? Why does my mom hate me?
Yeah.
And I thought if I could just, kids get on YouTube, that's a way that I could reach out to them. And then I've been thinking about developing some kind of program so that it's scalable, some kind of digital program where I could help protective parents who are trying to protect their child and help teach them how to deal with the system and prepare them and help them to understand domestic violence and to out-strategize
How much
the
do you like
perpetrator.
all of that stuff? I mean,
I
I know
feel
you like the end result of helping them.
driven to it. I
But
feel
how
so
much-
driven to
the
it, but
legal
it's
part of it-
painful for me.
Let me pitch you an idea.
Okay.
See what you think.
I would love.
What if you became the interior designer for people who had kids who were a victim of abuse? And they're coming out of abuse, and you're going to now design a beautiful world for them in their room.
That would be really fun.
If you think about like what you went through with your daughter and you won and you're one of the lucky ones, great. And then you created a space for her. Like now she had all this stuff. She doesn't know how to process it. Maybe she's the one typing like, why does my daddy do this to me? But now she's back home. She's with you and you're giving her a space that in that fantasy room, she can escape and start to now live a happy life. Mm-hmm. We have a room upstairs in this Airbnb called the Whimsical Room. It's kind of wild that you happen to be here and like you go in there's crazy bunk beds and like unicorns on the wall and just all sorts
cute.
of. I almost want to put Danny in there to sleep, but it's just bunk beds. So. But it's wild. We've stayed in all these places. We've never had such a weird, themed place and have a whimsical room. Mm-hmm. But if you could apply, what I'm wondering is if you could apply your love for creating these almost fantasy worlds, giving people a place to escape and have renewed hope and start to build a better life. Mm-hmm. And there will be parents who won't know how to do that.
Yeah.
Like that ability to create that wonderful world. They want to love their daughter or love their son, but they won't know how to create a room for them, and that's where
Yeah.
you can come in, or even create a house.
Yeah.
You know, or create a secret entrance somewhere, or like
Yeah.
the stuff that would let them be a kid again instead
Mm-hmm.
of what they've haven't been having to deal with that no kid should have to go through.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering in that process if you can either give a percentage of what you make to the causes that you care about, or if you're connecting with the people who love doing the advocacy work, the legal work, connect with the people who are the lawyers and the lobbyists and support them, and maybe get the same family that help, but you're using them as collaborators as opposed to you trying to figure out the mechanics of the legal system and doing work that drains you instead of doing work that
Yeah.
fills you up.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to think about it. I think in the last few years I've just let the interior design dream go, because I've become so consumed with what I'm doing, but I think I've kind of managed to become known to protective parents and survivors throughout the state, and also to other advocates and legislators. And so I've worked hard to be where I am now and to try to make change, and it feels like if I decided to like scrap all of that and go do something with my design, that it would just be kind of a waste, I guess.
Well, I don't
of
think you need to
everything I've
necessarily
been
eliminate
doing.
it. It's integrate it.
Hmm.
And now if you're working with families of survivors, listen, chances are one of them is going to be a lawyer or a public administrator, and they'll want to jump on board and have no idea what to do next to help.
Yeah.
And you're plugged into the community, and you know the right people to say, here's what needs to happen, here's what's next, here's some organizations to partner with. But now you're not throwing aside the thing that actually helps, because right now you're focused on prevention, which is great, and passing new laws, which is amazing and great, and it's a process and frustrating and painful.
Yeah.
But there's also nothing that's helping the kids right now.
Yeah.
And you have a talent that can help the kids who are suffering right now, because it's how you got out of it yourself.
Yeah.
You created it for yourself, but not all kids will even know what to do or have the creativity that you had to go in the backyard and take tiles and make imaginary worlds. But you could, if somebody's coming home from that kind of environment, whether they're 3 or 15, you can help them make a room for themselves where they can escape and get back to normal life again.
Yeah.
And make money.
Well, how would you fund it though? Most
You get-
survivors don't have money. Usually, the abuser takes that from them, and usually it's a mother with several children who's trying to support all of them. So I don't know how that would get funded.
So there's the unfortunate part is there's a huge number of people who this is happening to.
Yeah.
Some of them have money. You could, right? But you couldn't take
Yeah.
on 100 clients at a time anyway. And
Yeah.
even 100 is a tiny drop in the bucket of what is actually happening. So if you're working with 10 clients at a time, they're paying you, and then you can still share what's working, and you can give. That's when you can start your YouTube channel. You can give advice to other moms, other parents,
Yeah.
to give them ideas on what to do for their kids. And then you can also pick 10% of the people who you help for free. Because
Yeah.
you're making money from the other 90%.
Yeah. That would be really cool.
So most survivors may not have money, but some do. And those are the ones you focus on, because they still need help too. And they start funding. Just like, where does the money come from when you're raising donations? You might get $5 or $10 or $50 from
Yeah.
some people, but it's going to come from the people who have a bigger bank account, who've been victims themselves of it. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a cool thought.
I think it's using your best talents
Yeah.
and the thing that helped save you from Like, you could have gone the other way with what you went through. You may not even be around anymore, 'cause what you grew up with, but your creativity saved you and allowed you to escape the reality of the life that you had.
Yeah.
And so you can gift that to kids who are going through it, and parents who are the survivors.
Yeah.
Right? And as you build and grow, like maybe Verizon sponsors a family. Like, who are the companies who are going through this? And maybe they sponsor your services to go in and help a family.
Yeah.
Right?
Cool.
But it doesn't mean you have to abandon the advocacy stuff. You can still be doing it. But if it's not the thing that you love doing, it could slowly just...
Well, I love it now.
But you love the process of, like, of
it's,
dealing with...
Well, some of it, like, because I do all different kinds of things. I really enjoy working with groups of other people, groups of advocates who are all working for change and who all care and who all get it. And we come up with innovative ideas and...
But you love the creativity part of it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're the creative person who likes to build stuff.
Yeah.
Not the one who's, like, lobbying on Capitol Hill. You might go and help out, but...
I've been trying to make myself good at that, but
there's
I'm
people
an
who
introvert.
love that.
I'm an introvert. Like, I could be alone for a week and be happy, and I've been kind of forcing myself to be an extrovert to try to protect people.
There's people who are extroverts, who want to help, who don't know what to do, who don't have the creativity that you have, that you can help them. So it doesn't mean you give all that up and only do design.
Yeah.
It's you take the part that you love and you're the best at, the group work and whatever else you feel like you really make a contribution, and then you're still involved in doing that. Because they need your creativity and your ideas and your weird way of imagining things that don't exist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The more you're doing the work that you actually love, the more you're going to have an impact.
Yeah.
Forcing yourself to do stuff that you're not a fan of. You'll make progress just because you're a hard worker. You'll grind it out, and it'll be slow progress, but it'll slowly drain you too, because you're doing work that isn't the work that you should be doing.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm such an empath that I have to work really hard not to take on the pain of all the stuff I hear about every day, that's going on. But
that'll make you the best at actually solving a problem because you care so much.
Well, I was hoping that the creativity and ingenuity would be an asset and and help. And I have anxiety and panic disorder, and at times in my life couldn't even leave my house. But I drug myself out of that to be able to help other people. And now I actually enjoy public speaking sometimes and teaching people about domestic violence, because at this point I think I am pretty close to being an expert in this kind of stuff and strategy. And I feel like, I've been reading some of Dean Graziosi's stuff, and thinking about my my unique abilities and that kind of thing. And I think one of them is just being authentic and my ability to connect with all kinds of different people, because I've lived all over the world and traveled all over the US. And so I feel so drawn, like I should be doing that stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it completely pulled me away from the design stuff.
I think you need to keep doing that. It's not abandon that and only do this. It's the and. It's the getting rid of the stuff that drains you and doing the stuff that fills you up. And the only draining is like on an emotional level because you care so much. It doesn't mean you stop speaking. Maybe you should be speaking more. It's great. Spreading the message.
Yeah.
And then you could talk about even giving practical advice on not just how to prevent this from happening and strategies to how you out strategized your ex, you know, to make it happen. Great. But then how can you still now, how can you build a better world for your child? What do you talk to them about? How do you design a great room for them? You know, how do you build them back up? So it's not just preventing the next generation from happening. We're giving tools for our current generation who've gone through it to have a better life for themselves too.
Yeah.
And that can be part of your speech. And if you're actually helping somebody, because you're an empath and you care so much, and you're sitting there with this 13-year-old girl who's suffered abuse, and you're going to really care about her and find out what she likes and what her dreams are and what she wants to do, you're going to design the best room of all time for her.
Yeah.
More than just a designer. It's like, okay, yeah, tell me what do you want, and they'll build something.
Yeah.
Because you're so connected to the cause.
Yeah.
And then in helping and listening to them, it'll make you an even better speaker, because you'll give strategies to parents to use for their kids as well, and how to even have that conversation. If they can't afford to have you come in and help them,
Yeah.
great, you're still giving them tools and ideas of what they can do. So I think it's just mixing them. I don't think you'll be happy in either. I think if you're only focusing on this, it's eventually going to drain you.
Yeah.
If you're only focused on design, you're going to feel like there's something else. You have to mix them.
Yeah. I like that.
And you'll start making money, and you can get paid to be a speaker, and maybe end up with a book deal and all this kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
But you're building a business that then also has a purpose and gives back.
Yeah.
And you can still volunteer. It may not be as many hours for the organization. You're not going to take on as much administrative stuff. But the creativity, you should always be involved in creativity, or in being a voice, doing an interview, being in media, being on stage, doing a speech.
Yeah.
So like, always count me in anytime you need an advocate.
Yeah.
But I don't want to learn about the law that has to be passed and like lobbying and emailing senators every day and the administrative stuff that for you is not. You'll do it if you're forced to because you believe so much in the cause, but it'd be better for you to find somebody, recruit people who love doing that stuff but lack the creativity of what to do. There'll be lots of survivors, lots of moms who will want to help. Like, this is insane, I need the help, feeling the same rage and frustration that you are feeling, but they just aren't creative. They don't know what to do. Like, just tell me what to do, I'll do it. I'll sit down in front of the computer for 5 hours a day and do what you tell me to do. I just don't know what to do. I feel lost and hopeless. Help me, like, tell me what to do. And you're the creative one who'll come up with the strategies for what to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you need both pieces, but you're trying to do all of it.
Yeah.
Where you're not good at those other pieces, and you're forcing yourself to get good at it, and you can muscle your way through just because you care so much, but it's actually not the best use of your time.
Yeah. That sounds like it would be a lot of fun to work with kids.
Fun is good.
You know, right? Right.
I think you need some fun, right?
Exactly.
Fun would be a good thing.
Yeah.
And still go after the cause and make it matter. Thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what you do.
Appreciate you too. Thank you.
If you want to spend some one-on-one time with me, I have a special offer happening right now. Go check out the website right next to me. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.